All right, guys. This lesson is continuing with graphing quadratic functions or quadratic equations. We've already done the first flap of the foldable. We're looking at the second, where we're graphing an equation or a function that looks like ax squared plus bx plus c. This looks familiar because we just did factoring with that, okay? All right, so how do you graph a quadratic equation in standard form? Remember, standard form looks just like so. All right, so there's three things that you're going to do in order to graph these equations. Step one, the first thing that you have to do is find the axis of symmetry. Okay, so that's, like we said back here, that's that line that separates the parabola into two symmetrical parts. We have to find where that line is first. The way we're going to do that is by setting x equal to negative b over 2a, or 2 times a. All right, so so let's do that here. We'll do that step one and then step one. All right, step one said that we need to set x equal to negative b over 2a to find the axis of symmetry. All right, well, here we have where our a, our b, and our c are. We're looking at b and a. So b, this says negative b, or really the opposite of b. B is negative 2, but negative 2 really times 1, or just the opposite of that, times negative, it's going to be a positive 2. And then over 2 times a. Well, what's a? There is no coefficient, so we know it's just a 1. Okay? So 2 over 2 times 1 is 2. So the axis of symmetry here is 1. Okay, I had to find that first. Step 2, we're going to find the vertex. Remember, the highest or the lowest point on the parabola. So to find the vertex, we're going to sub in the x from step 1 to the original equation to get y. And then we'll have our xy coordinate. That'll be our vertex. Okay, so step 2, we're subbing in x for the original equation. Okay, so let's see, we have x squared. We said x is 1, so we're going to have 1 squared minus, 2 times, we said x was 1, and then minus 3. So 1 squared is 1, negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, and then minus 3. 1 minus 2 is negative 1, minus 3 more is negative 4. Okay? So our vertex we just found, the x is 1 and the y is negative 4. Okay? So this is the vertex. This is our axis of symmetry. Excellent. Now step 3 says to make a table. Okay? And to make our table, we're going to need to choose a different color. At least 2 points on either side of the axis of symmetry. Okay, so step 3. We set our axis of symmetry. I'm still going to set up my xy. Our axis of symmetry is 1. So if it were me, I'd put that in the middle there. I need 2 x values below it and 2 x values above it. Typically, I'd just go in order. So 0, let's go to negative 0, 1 to 0 to negative 1. 1, let's do 2, and 3. So this I'll have 2 points on one side of the axis of symmetry and then 2 points on the other. Okay? All right, well now to find our y values, we're substituting it back into that original equation. Okay? So if you need to do it on a separate sheet of paper or to the side or somewhere, that's fine. Okay? So let's see. So negative 1 squared is 1 minus, okay, so we can, I'm just going to do it verbally. You can do it separately, okay, if you need to, or you can just copy down these notes. So if we sub in negative 1 for y, we're gonna end up with 0. If we sub in 0, so 0 squared minus 0 minus 3, oh, there it is negative 3. Subbing in 1, we're going to get negative 4. Subbing in 2 to both of those x's, we're going to get negative 3. And then subbing in 3, we're going to get 0. Okay. All right. So now let's go ahead and graph this. We have negative 1, 0, 0, negative 3, 1, negative 4, which 1, negative 4, that should also be our vertex. There shouldn't be anything below that point now. And then I have 2, negative 3, and 3, 0. And good, there was nothing below that point. Here's my quadratic equation, graphed. All right, so number 2. We're going to do all 3 of those steps again. Okay, so step 1 was to find that axis of symmetry. So that means x is negative b over 2a. Okay, let's look at our equation right here. There's the a, the b, and the c. Okay, negative b, well this is negative 8, so the opposite of negative 8 is positive 8, over 2 times a is 2. So 8 over 2 times 2 is 4. 8 over 4 is 2. Okay? That's our axis of symmetry. In step 2, we're going to find that vertex. We're given the x value here, so we're going to use that. We're going to plug it into the original equation. So my original equation says 2. I'm subbing in 2 for x. Subbing in 2 for x. Oh, I don't know why I'm putting that in parentheses. Okay, so 2, all right, 2 squared is 4, times 2 is 8. Negative 8 times 2 is negative 16, and I have a positive 6. 8 minus 16 is negative 8, plus 6 is just negative 2. Okay, so there's my y. So my vertex should be 2, negative 2. Nothing should go below that. And then let's set up a table to figure out what points I'm going to graph. Remember, you're going to want to choose 2 points on either side of the axis of symmetry. So our axis of symmetry was when x was 2. Okay, so I'm going to choose 2 before that. Probably just go 1, 0, and 3, 4, 2 after it on either side. Okay, so plug in 0 for each of those. I will get my y to be 6. Substitute 1 in, I'll get 0. Substitute 2 in for each of the x's. I have negative 2. Substitute 3 in, 0. And substitute 4 in for each of those x's, I'll get 6. So now I have my ordered pairs to graph my parabola. 0, 6. 1, 0. 2, negative 2. Oh, and that should be my vertex. I hope so. 3, 0. And 4, 6. Okay. Perfect. And that was the lowest point. That is my vertex. That was the lowest point on that parabola. Good. Number 3. Again, going to do all three steps. X is negative b over 2a. Here's my a, my b, and my c. Okay, so negative b, this is positive 2. We're going to make it a negative 2. 2 times a is 1/2. Negative 2. 2 times 1/2, or half of 2, is 1. So negative 2 is the axis of symmetry. Step 2, sub it into the original equation. This is my x now. I'm subbing it into the original equation. So 1/2 times negative 2 squared plus 2 times negative 2, bring down that plus 3. 2 squared is 4, times 1/2 is 2. Okay. 2 times negative 2 is negative 4, and bring down a plus 3. 2 minus 4 is negative 2. Plus 3 is positive 1. That's that y value. So our vertex should be negative 2, 1. And step 3, that was 3, is to create your table. My axis of symmetry, don't forget, was negative 2. So I'm going to need 2 smaller and 2 x values that were bigger. Okay, so on either side. And then let's substitute in. Substitute in 4, I'll get out 3. Substitute in 3, I'll get out 1.5 or 1.5. Sub in 2, I will get 1, which is also my vertex. Don't forget that. Negative 1, I'm going to sub in and get 1.5. And substitute in 0, and I'll get out a 3. And go ahead and graph those. Okay. And there's your parabola. All right, the code word for this lesson is keys. If you have any questions about the foldable or what I've done, please feel free to shoot me an email and ask me any questions.